much weather, really, really dark. But it's the weekend today, so it's a bit bright today. So it's daytime, sun is kind of shining. So I thought, why not go live just a little bit earlier today? Today is my Sabbath, Saturday. I go to church on Saturday. Um, so, what are we going to talk about? Let me tell you how every live goes. Sometimes I have a topic, sometimes I don't. But oftentimes the conversation always changes because the questions you ask always change the conversation we have. So, what are we going to talk about today? Mm, we are going to talk a little bit about, I don't know. I'm gonna think about it for a little bit longer because I'm a Christian and I want to talk about Christianity. There's many topics. There is financing, there is sexuality, there is religion, there is education, there is Bible study, there is food. Um, so let me think of a topic to talk about. You know what? Fine. I am going to talk about church. Should Christians be going to church? That is today's question. Should Christians be going to church? Is church the place that Christians should be going to? That's today's conversation. Christianity is probably one of the oldest religions because it starts from Judaism. From Judaism in the ADs, the disciples and Jesus taught a continuation of the Old Testament to fulfill it, and that is where we get Christianity from. So, do we need to go to church as Christians? Do we need to go to church as Christians? I have Sheriham saying hi, saying hi. I have VK Jolly videos saying hi. Hi there. So yeah, the question of the day is, should we go to church? I'm from India. Where are you from? I'm from the UK. If we look in the Bible, right, did Jesus go to church often? Oftentimes he would find himself not in church. He would be out there with his disciples, going, preaching, traveling. So then, ooh, nice stream. Thank you very much. Today we're talking about God and about church. So if we look back at the Old Testament, because the Old Testament is the Torah, we see that the way that people would worship will be that they wouldn't just go to church once. There will be many events. There will be festival days, there will be feast days, there will be the Sabbath or Sabbaths. There will be different ways to go to church. Church was more than just a place you go to pray. It was a place where you would do a lot of spiritual things and spiritual events. So, for example, Christmas is a very modern belief. Um, so, if we look back before the birth of Jesus, there would be more than one reason to go to church. There was no Easter, because again, Easter is very modern. So, if you go back to like BC 400, they had many reasons to go to the synagogue. Sorry. Um, nice stream. You're right about your facts. That's true. So, going to church was part of the culture. If you were a person of the land or you lived in that time in Mesopotamia, for example, and you believed in the creator God, um, Jehovah, you would go to church all the time. There would be sacrifices, there will be feast days, there will be Sabbaths based upon different feasts. There was so many reasons to go to church, right? And these were all different from the one Sabbath that Jesus, God, gave us in the Garden of Eden. These were more how do I speak? Ceremonial laws that were given by Moses in terms of you do this as a way to worship God, to remember God, how God helped you and took you out of, Oop, I have someone saying, morning. Thank you very much. Gadifiwe Mogi. I apologize for butchering your names. Oh my god. Okay, yes. We're talking about today, should Christians go to church? That is um, the question. Should Christians go to church? I'm going to put a poll here. Should Christians go to church? Please stay. Just typing away a poll so you guys can let me know. I've just posted the poll now. I see you guys are watching. I have, oh my good, I look really happy. I'll take happy, it's fine. So yeah, if we go back to Old Testament before Jesus, Christians went to church for so many reasons, or the synagogue. Now, as we get into the New Testament, the birth of Jesus, who is God, and the disciples, they also took part in all the celebrations. But there was a difference. When Jesus took part and the disciples took part, they took part in the things that were given by God and also given by the forefathers, that was a reflection of what God said. So, a lot of the laws that were put in place were put to give benefit to certain genders or certain belief systems, right? So, for example, if a man is caught cheating, he's told off. If a woman is caught cheating, okay, let's put it this way: if a man and a woman are caught together and they are both committing adultery, they would stone the woman, but the man would walk free, right? So there's a lot of laws that were put in place that were given as religious laws, but they were actually not. They were more of cultural laws. And when Jesus came, he came to say, okay, we have put every law as religious. Let's now make it clear. So Jesus came to fulfill the law, which means that all these things that were being done, all these Sabbaths, were being fulfilled, right? That's when Jesus comes. I have a comment saying 6-7. Thank you for 6-7. So when Jesus came, one thing that he was accused of is he was accused of eating with sinners. He was accused of being a friend with sinners. He was confused. He was accused of doing good on Sabbath, even though he made Sabbath. Imagine the creator of the Sabbath, the seventh day, is being accused of breaking the Sabbath, even though he made the Sabbath for mankind, of course. Um, so it's it's actually comical a little bit. So if we look back, do Christians now in 2025 need to go to church? Comment down below. Do Christians need to go to church? I will say this: the majority of Christians that I know don't go to church. They do actually go to church for like small celebrations like Christmas, like Easter's, like christenings, like a funeral. Those is when that's when they will go to church. Any other time after that, they don't go to church. They find a reason to not go to church. And that's the thing that for me personally, I find interesting because the Bible says, forsake not the assembly of the brethren, right? Sabbath is a holy convocation. So the Bible is clear saying, on Saturday you should meet with people, worship with people, be with like-minded people. But the question then goes back to what is a church? There is 4 votes right now. Two people are saying no, Christians shouldn't go to church. Two people are saying yes, Christians should go to church. So this is the question: what do we define as a church, right? So should you go to church on a Saturday or on Sabbath? The question here is, should you spend time with people who are like-minded, who also worship God on Sabbath and have dedicated a day to Him? That is what church is, right? Where two or three are gathered, there He is, which means that church is not really a location, right? And this is what, when Jesus was on earth physically, this is one of the biggest things that was talked about, was really talked about, because when we look back at Jesus, he says, "O Jerusalem, how much I wanted to, I think, gather you under my wing, like a chick gathers her hens under his wings, but you didn't let me." So Jesus said, "I leave to you your house desolate." Imagine Jerusalem. Jesus is saying, hey, I have tried. I have tried. I really wished you could have accepted me because I am the God that created everything. Jesus is the creator God. The creator God is coming and saying, I wish I was able to get you under my wing like a chicken gathers her chicks, but you would not accept me. Because the thing is, right, Jesus came on this earth, right? He did. And people said he is not Jewish enough. Imagine the creator God was not good enough to be Jewish, right? And you know, I wonder this a little bit. If Jesus came now, would we accept him? Would we be able to be like, okay, yes, you are Jesus? Or would we be like, no, we don't do this here, right? I feel like we like to humanize God. We like to make God into a human and then make us into God. What I mean by that is that God says, God said, okay, here are the 10 commandments. Honor your father and mother, your days that belong. Love God, love mankind. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, right? What we do is we try and explain the commandments and say, hey, let's now adapt them to us in 2025. And I think there's a place for that. But there's also black and white. There's also implicit information. And this is where, for me, I really struggle with scholars that take the Bible as not literal. There are certain parts that, yes, are allegory, certain parts that are analogy, there are certain parts that are hidden in theology, but there are certain parts that are just black and white. Remember, the Sabbath day is not an allegory, it is black and white. So when I'm asking you, should Christians go to church? The answer is yes, because the Sabbath was made for man, and man was not made for the Sabbath, right? Which means that Sabbath is meant to benefit you. Going to church benefits you, right? Now I'm gonna now talk about the opposite end. What if you want to do good on Saturday? What does good mean? Um, right? I remember when I was younger. I'm gonna tell you a story when I was younger. This is where, for me, I had a little disagreement with the church, even though I'm part of it. We went out to do prayer. So what we would do when I was younger is we would go to the houses near our church and let them know to say, hey, we are from the church locally. Is there anything you want us to pray about for you? Just offering free prayer, not asking for money, asking not, just saying, hey, do you need prayer? If you want it, let's pray for you. We went to this old man's house, and I'll give you the image. So this is mid autumn. all the leaves are falling. We're walking up to this man's house. It's a fully semi-detached house. It's a two-story house with the garage on the right-hand side. Um, the the entrance. So when you go into his land, it's all tarmacked at a slight angle. So you have to walk up a little like slope uh, to get to his house. And on the side of his house is a massive oak tree. Is it oak? It was a massive tree. And because it was autumn, all the leaves were falling. So as we were walking up to his house, there was just leaves everywhere. You could not even see the tarmac because there was just leaves everywhere. It was a tripping hazard. So we walked up to his house and we asked him, he's like, hey, can we pray for you? And he's like, I am not a Christian, right? But you guys are young, come in, have a drink. We went into his house, he gave us a drink of water, we had a little chat about his life, how he spoke about his wife passing recently, and we didn't do anything Christian really. Then he came to me and asked me, saying, hey, is there anything else you can do besides praying for me? Because I'm old, my back hurts, I need some help. And I said to him, I can see that there's leaves everywhere on the front of your house. Maybe we can sweep the leaves for you. So when you leave to go shopping, it's a lot safer for you. He was like, that would be so amazing. I get scared to go out when it's like this. So what me and my friends did was we got some brooms from his house. We went outside and swept. We pushed all the leaves to the side, right? We spent about 20 minutes. It's a pretty big area. And after we did that, we went to him and he was like, honestly, thank you. He felt like, you know what? It's a pleasure that young people can help out in the community. So what I did was I did something good on Saturday, right? I went to church. I went to people with like-mindedness who did good. Now, after that, I went back to church and I'm like, oh, guys, let me tell you a story. We went to this man's house. He brought us into his home. He didn't want us to pray for him because he's not Christian, but he wanted some help. So we went outside and cleared all the leaves. And they were like, you can't do that. That's work on the Sabbath. Cleaning is work on the Sabbath. How dare you clean and sweep up on Saturday? Why not go back on a Sunday? And I was like, well, he was in danger right there and then. What if he left that evening to go out and fell down and broke his hip? It was, and I was defending myself. I'm like, listen, if something bad happened to him because I chose to wait one more day, because I can't sleep on a Sabbath, that's not right, is it? And this is what I'm talking about. Should Christians go to church um, on Sabbath or in general, right? And the thing is, right, is doing good more important? Because for me, in that moment, I was thinking to myself, hey, if I go and help somebody out, and now their view of a Christian is somebody who helps out, somebody who supports, somebody who is willing to go the extra mile, and not somebody who has to be kind of like, "Oh, I can't do that because I've got 2 minutes to sunset." Like, Jesus had this same problem. The disciples were doing good on Sabbath. Jesus was healing on Sabbath. And people were like, you can't do that. You can't heal on Sabbath. And then Jesus was like, okay, if you are a farmer and one of your cows falls into a pit, will you wait to the sunset? No, you will go and pick up your animal. Why? Because it's gonna affect your business. It's not wrong to do good. And yes, I understand that there are certain things that you can wait to do, or there's other ways to do good. But if somebody is struggling in front of you, for me, what I learned was, you know what? If somebody needs my help, me giving help right there and then is me doing good, right? What is the point of Sabbath? Sabbath and Saturday and going to church, right? Going to church, people think you go to church to meet God. People actually think you go to church to meet God. And it's partly right, but also we are under a big misapprehension. Saturday is you've been with God all week, and now you're going to be with God again with like-minded people. So now God is with everybody all at once in one environment. That's what Sabbath is. It's not a place where you spend the whole week doing nothing. God is in the back garden, and inside the cows is now in your house. No, that's not how it works. So it's important to go to church on Sabbath. It's important to go to church even when it's not Sabbath. Because again, church isn't a building. Church means being with like minded people. So if you go see people in a week who are like minded, not I'm not saying that that's all you should see, but it's important to be around like minded people, especially when it comes in believing in God. And this is where, for me, I think we have a misapprehension when it comes to church because if people with similar beliefs are together, that is church. So, for example, if a Baptist, if a Lutheran, if a Methodist, if an Adventist, and a Catholic are all together and they're talking about God and they're thinking about God and having that conversation all towards the eye of worshiping God, that is church. That is church. But yeah, so I've had 13 views so far, 13 votes so far. So should Christians go to church? Right now, I have 69% of people saying yes, Christians should go to church, and I have 31% of people saying no, Christians should not go to church. COVID changed everything. Before COVID, church attendance was not the best, but people were either going to church regularly or never going to church, right? After COVID, two things happened. Every church began to put its service online because during COVID, if you did not have your service online, your members could not worship because they were just in their own houses. So every church now has a live stream, right? And also, people spent about a year or two in their homes. So now the expectation of them going to church was removed. If you didn't go to church, it's because there was COVID around. You did not want to spread the disease, right? It was a pandemic, right? Now, after COVID, a lot of people chose to not go back to church because now there was no expectation for somebody to be physically in church because of the pandemic. After COVID happened, people that were going to church because it was socially acceptable stopped going. And some of the people that now go to church now are only going because they think it's the right thing to do. And a large group of people as well go to church now because they know that it's important to meet with people. But listen, I am going to end my live here. Please tune in tomorrow and we can talk about a new topic. But guys, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and yes, peace. See you tomorrow. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you. Peace.